What's going on, guys? It's Thomas. Welcome back to another episode 70 of Nintendo Tonight. We got a banger episode for y'all today, and also a banger episode next week. It's going to be our Game Awards Spectacular. We're actually recording them back-to-back because we're going to be gone for Thanksgiving, so we want to keep the streak going. I think this might be the greatest streak in Nintendo Tonight history. I'm not, just speaking it into existence. I think we might be there.
I think you're right.
This is a banger. We haven't missed ever, and we're gonna do this until the death of the universe, or hopefully Switch 2 gets announced before then. But yeah, I don't know. At this point, who really knows? But episode 70, we got some banger news for you. We'll jump into some news that missed the cut, some quick stuff. Then one main big news story today, but it's a pretty huge one that mainly, I guess it features Nintendo by default, but it's focusing on one of the other big gaming companies, so we'll talk about that and the ramifications it might have for Nintendo, specifically with Switch 2. Then we got a couple of banger segments and ending it all off with a fan question. So a pretty jam-packed episode for us today, and I do want to quickly mention before we started, any Spotify listeners, we had a bit of a Spotify glitch. I don't even know. It's just weird. The episode cut off at 40 minutes last time. It's fixed. But it looks like on my phone, at least, it still says it's only 40 minutes long. So if you're a Spotify listener and you're confused about that, we fixed it, but the app says it's not fixed, but it is. If you actually listen to the podcast, you can get the whole, hour 20 or whatever last episid was. So yeah, apologies about that.
We'll try getting off of Spotify and going on Apple Podcasts, a superior podcast app.
Actually, true. I'm a big Apple Podcast guy, but apparently you can leave some comments on Spotify for individual podcasts, which is how I figured out that it was busted. So I guess, hey, anytime we do fan questions, including today, we have one, leave a fan question down in the Spotify comments, and I'll hopefully remember to try and check that. No promises, but I'll try. Anyway, let's just jump right on into some news that missed the cut. So first thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I think we all knew, there are some people who don't necessarily believe this, or maybe it's some copium, but we're basically going to be talking about Zelda and how Zelda stories do not matter. I'm just going to keep it a buck. The story in Zelda games, frankly, it's always kind of felt, to me at least, like an afterthought. Within every game I played, it's very clear that the gameplay comes first and the story is kind of a vehicle for the gameplay. But there are a lot of people who are super in-depth into the Zelda official timeline that, again, is a complete joke. There's 7 branching paths to try and accommodate 20 or so odd games that all have the same characters but take place in different universes and different worlds and all this. But basically, the interesting part about this is Aonuma just kind of came out and straight up said, yeah, we don't really care about the story. He said, to quote him exactly, he said, I've never really made a game where you think of the story first and then go into gameplay. First, when you think of the gameplay, what you're trying to think of after that is how you can get players to easily understand the gameplay. And then Aonuma said that this approach helps his team improve gameplay elements more easily, and they're kind of freed from any prerequisites set by the narrative itself. So interesting little tidbit here. I was curious to get your guys' thoughts on this, because I know that a lot of people are very Zelda story pilled, and I know if I was one of those people, hearing him come out and straight up say the story is an afterthought to the gameplay, it might be a little annoying. But for me at least, I feel like this makes a ton of sense. I've kind of always known this.
It makes sense.
Go ahead, Mac. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quickly, I think it makes sense, but it's also kind of a sad way to view your work. I feel like yeah. When it comes to at least the 2 Zelda games I played, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, some of the best parts of those games are the cutscenes, the one right before Calamity Ganon's taking over and Zelda's crying in Link's arms. That is so incredibly powerful to watch, and the fact that they don't find that to be a main driving point for what a Zelda game is, I find is kind of odd.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Didn't even think about that. I when I saw this earlier, in the kind of notes that we have, the first thing that I thought of was this really old kind of video essay that I watched literally when I was a kid by this YouTuber. I don't know if you guys know Angry Video Game Nerd, right? Mm-hmm. Real OG. And I guess it's not really a video essay, but kind of him being this is so stupid. And it was kind of going through the Zelda games in chronological order and how it just does not make sense. So kind of in reality, seeing this headline and just seeing him say this, it's kind of funny, and it makes sense now that, you know, the timeline is kind of so messed up and has never really been, okay, this is the sequel to this is the sequel to this. Like, it's definitely a little odd, but
yeah, it is quite weird. It's like that. I just don't understand why people care about the timeline. Like, a lot of people's complaints with Tears of the Kingdom boils down to the story, and it's like, I'm just gonna be honest, who cares, man? Like, playing a Nintendo game in general for the story is just like, I don't know, I feel like there's other games with more impactful storytelling, if that's
you'll
what you're
sometimes
looking for.
find the odd Nintendo game with like, wow, this is like a really good story. Like, even some Pokemon games, I'll say that, have like really good stories, or just in general. But yeah, definitely, I think you do not go to Nintendo for the, you know, really deep, entertaining story kind of thing. Like, yeah, the last thing
very
on the list
odd.
there.
The other thing, in terms of just quickly before we move on, is I did see a headline as well. Apparently, in Echoes of Wisdom, the most recent 2D Zelda game, Link was supposed to speak, like voice acted speak.
Oh,
and then they just couldn't figure out how to do it. But it seems kind of odd, because that's like his defining characteristic was he was never gonna speak, or you know, hasn't, I guess. Besides the little hiya, but apparently he was going to speak in this random, like, Zelda, in the one game where you don't play as Link was going to finally talk. I don't know, but they leaned against it, in my opinion, for good reason. Although, you know, it would be cool to finally hear what he sounds like when he's actually speaking words rather than grunts and onomatopoeia type things. But whatever, we'll move on from that. Next story we have, this one's super quick. I just wanted to rant about it. The Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition. I bought this. I actually pre-ordered it on Switch. Since then, I've never pre-ordered a non-Nintendo like Switch game ever again. The way this trilogy just decimated my hope for anything coherent was just brutal. Basically, the games on no platform were that good. They all looked pretty poorly, ran pretty poorly. Obviously, you multiply that by 1,000 when you put it on the Switch. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because over the past few years, Rockstar has slowly but surely been updating these, and we just got the biggest patch for for all of the 3 games included in the Definitive Edition, which brings back like classic lighting, which is funny because they had like a whole new lighting thing, but the new lighting was terrible, so then they updated it with classic lighting, which brings back, it's just like a complete mess going on over there, and it's so much of a mess that this is why I wanted to bring this up, just for this one little note. The original developers because Rockstar did not originally develop the Definitive Edition. It was originally Grove Street Games, who have, I think they've done some of the mobile ports of like San Andreas and whatever. But Grove Street Games was originally the developers contracted by 2K and Rockstar to actually do this remaster trilogy, and they did such a bad job with it that Rockstar then was like, nah, we're just going to do all the updates ourselves. And they've done so many updates now that they have taken out the Grove Street Games developers' names from the credits of the trilogy.
What?
Which I don't
crazy.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that. But they originally made the game. It was so bad. Rockstar over the past 2 years has been patching it. Apparently it's a lot better now. Visually it looks a lot better. I haven't tested it because, again, I still have it on my base Switch, so I'm not looking forward to playing a bunch of PS2 games at like 20 FPS, but they removed the developers' names, which I just thought was so funny. Like, that's biggest, like,
crazy.
That's the biggest FU, I think. Which, to be fair, it was a horribly developed game at launch. It was just atrocious. Obviously, Rockstar actually did all the game designing for the original games, and then if they have to go back and fix all the like remake things, like the lighting and whatnot, I guess it's kind of fair that you can just get rid of their names, but it's petty as hell. I'll say that. It's pretty funny.
100% it is. That's kind of wild. Like, again, the first thing that comes to my mind, can you guys imagine, like, for something such as an Ilka developed Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, right? What if Game Freak, like, went in there and they, like, fixed the game completely and just made it good and just took Ilka completely out of the credits? That would be hilarious. But yeah, I remember you talk about this game when it first came out. You were saying this, and you're like, dude, I'm not playing this. It is so trash. It's so bad.
It's so bad. And that pisses me off because Vice City is one of my favorite like Grand Theft Auto games, period. It might actually be my favorite. So I just, it's a little annoying, but, you know, maybe Switch 2, it'll run better and I'll play it there. Maybe I should give it a chance, but I will not because it was just such a bad first impression that I don't care. No matter how many patches they do, I'm not giving it a second chance on Switch. But I just thought that was funny. They removed the developer's name.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I think that's so funny.
Insane.
Last thing for news that missed the cut: Game Awards nominees are out. Some people are saying Nintendo got snubbed. I don't think they really got snubbed. They didn't have a game nominated for Game of the Year, but I'm not sure what that game would be.
How can you get snubbed when you barely put anything out?
Yeah, like you could. I don't know. But we'll go over this in full in our next episode, including giving our predictions for who we think will win most of the major categories, and then also our own personal Game of the Year picks. So we'll get to that. But I did want to say it is out. That's probably the biggest gaming news of the week. So felt good to mention it here. But now, the most impactful gaming news of the week actually does not come from Nintendo. It comes from Microsoft with their Xbox family of consoles, specifically Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, who had a really enlightening interview. So I don't know if you guys remember, but earlier, maybe, was it this year? No, I think it was last year. I don't remember exactly. I think it was earlier this year, actually. There was like this whole rumor thing that Xbox was going to be ditching the console making business, and like they were just going to go multi-platform as a third-party developer. And then Phil Spencer basically came out and said, no, that's not true. We're still going to be making consoles, but we are going to put just a couple of our games on other consoles. Like I think Hi-Fi Rush, or was that one? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Hi-Fi Rush and
Sea of Thieves went on to
Yep.
PS5.
Yep.
There were a couple games that went around, but that was basically a little experiment. And now Phil Spencer has had an interview with Bloomberg where he says, and I quote, "I do not see any red lines in our portfolio that say thou must not," he said, in context of talking about games to put on other platforms. He did say it's too early to make any decision on the next version of Halo, which makes sense because they just created a whole new studio to make Halo games, and like they're going back to their old engine or whatever. But I just think this is crazy that he straight out like came out and said like, hey, I was really pleased with the first batch of Xbox or Microsoft published games that we put on PlayStation and Nintendo's Switch. We're just going to keep doing it. And there are like nothing is off limits here. Obviously the first thing goes to Halo, but like Banjo, like literally apparently nothing is off limits in terms of putting Microsoft games on other consoles. So I just wanted to A, get your guys' thoughts on this, and then B, do you guys have one specific like game franchise or anything that, not that they have a ton of incredibly successful franchises, but I guess they do because they just bought, Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. So I'm curious what you guys think of this entire thing, because he's saying there's no red lines, which to come out and say that in an interview is like, it's a little bold.
I think it's a weird thing that they're this like excited about putting their own games on like other platforms. I think that's kind of like, why does that help your business? I guess it does because the games are selling on other platforms, but I think it's a weird thing to just like be coming out and saying like this is going to be part of your business model. Doesn't that like hurt them in a way by not keeping it exclusive?
Yeah, really like, quick. I was just gonna say like, does that like kind of make you think, will there be another Xbox console like beyond the Xbox Series line? Like, I mean, it's not like he's come out and said that's not going to be a thing, but that kind of comes to my mind when you're going like, we're so excited to be releasing games on other consoles. Like, really? Like,
yeah, I don't know. My mindset is I think they're going to keep doing the Xbox consoles solely to try and push a Game Pass, and then to recoup, or not recoup, but just to make more money, they're going to put individual games on other consoles, obviously, full price, and then just be like, hey, yeah, if you had an Xbox and pay the monthly fee, you could get all of these games for free, or included. Free is a questionable term to use when talking about a subscription service, but that's like my main thought. But it is very odd that he directly came out and said this, because that's something like, this is something I would assume they would want to keep internal. Like, even if this were their plans, like it got like leaked or whatever that they were gonna start going like more emphasis into multi-platform, and like Twitter, the Xbox fandom, all 6 of them, completely like broke down and lost their minds on Twitter. And then they did a bunch of damage control and kind of smoothed over the situation, but now they're just outright saying, yeah, we're no red lines. I don't know, very interesting. A couple of games that come to mind when saying like, okay, what do I actually want on Nintendo from this? They own Activision now, so I think that's like Spyro and Crash. Obviously, I think both of that, definitely Crash, probably the Spyro Reignited trilogy as well were on Switch. But that makes me think, okay, next next game. Switch 2 with the more power, we could get Sea of Thieves, which I think is a great game to be on Switch. Taking Sea of Thieves portably would be very, very fun. And then also if you're talking about Activision, like COD on Switch would be huge. I don't know if it'll ever happen, just considering how poorly optimized those games are, how big the downloads are, how, just bloated those entire games are. They would probably have to release like a
legacy edition type of game in terms of kind of what they did with FIFA back in the day.
I think they would either do something like that or like separate install for like maybe you buy them and you get access to all 3 of these, but like the campaign would be one install, the multiplayer would be another install, and like the zombies mode would be a third install. Because I can't, like, it's like 200 something gigabytes to download like Black Ops 6 on your PC, which obviously you gotta compress it a little bit because you're not gonna.
Could they do a online only version?
Maybe. Maybe that is a good point. There have been some Switch, like I believe Control on Switch is a online only from Remedy games, so they could lean more into the streaming aspect of it. It remains to be seen if that's going to be a big feature of Switch 2, but if it is, I think 100% you do that, because that takes way less development time. You don't really have to optimize the game for the console. You just have to get a bunch of servers and be able to stream it to people. So yeah, interesting stuff here. There's definitely some games I would like to see from Xbox's massive like Scrooge McDuck portfolio of publishers they've been buying over the past decade or so. Rare, like just talking about Nintendo, Rare is the one that comes to mind, right? Like getting some Banjo on Switch.
Not that they've made a Banjo game in years, but like
or that they will. But yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I just this was interesting. Kind of weird that he just came out and directly said this.
It is weird how confident Xbox is with their whole game plan, because their game plan is nothing like we've ever seen before. Like,
that's what you get when you have Microsoft bingo bucks in your back pocket. Like,
literally,
it's almost overpowered. Like they can make every possible wrong decision and still buy Activision and Blizzard and Bethesda. Like,
right?
It just it doesn't even make sense, but. Hey, that's what they're doing. So stay tuned. Obviously, we will be covering any sort of big Xbox announcement that relates to the Nintendo Switch, or the Switch 2. Probably the Switch 2, because I wouldn't expect to see any Xbox games coming to the base Switch from now on, unless it's like maybe a small, indie game like that where the studio was bought by Microsoft or they're publishing it. But Switch 2, like, if it is powerful as like a PS4, PS4 Pro, that could be somewhat easier for developers to port games over, and then we could see an influx of these games. So we'll definitely be keeping y'all in the loop for that, because that would be really sick if we just got a bunch of Microsoft games on the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, we'll keep y'all into that. But now let's move on into the first segment. We're gonna actually be going through a bit of a slideshow here that I have prepped for all y'all. We had a big debate last episode, maybe it was 2 episodes ago, I don't remember, but Jack, if you could go to the next slide and just show the people the great D-pad debate of Super Mario 64 DS. This game was remade for the Nintendo DS, but the original was not a tech demo, but basically a showcase of 3D movement, which had the analog stick, which was on the N64 controller. Then they put it on the DS and make you 3D platform in a D-pad. Now, PJ, potentially clinically insane, but did state that this doesn't really bother him. Most people it does, but I guess if it doesn't bother you, then more power to you, because you have a great remake of Super Mario 64 that you can take wherever you want, that came out all the way back in early 2000s. So we're going to basically be asking the age-old question. Jack, if you could go to the next slide. To remake or not to remake? By Nintendo Tonight. Yeah, not William Shakespeare. No plagiarism here. Basically, we're going to be going over some games, and I'm going to be describing to you how they would be remade with both a pro and a con of the remake. So it's not like, it's not just like 100% a good thing. It's you got to weigh the pros and cons in here, and then you guys are going to let me know if this is something you would want to see from Nintendo, or just don't remake it at all, because the cons would outweigh the pros. All right, let's move on to the first game. PJ, this one will strike close to home. Super Mario Sunshine. Okay, all right. So a complete remake. All of these are under the assumption of It'll be on Switch too, so at least full HD, potentially 4K, but I don't think that really sways any of us in too much about it. But very graphically, fully remade, looks very good. And one of the pros to this remake is actually it will have a blue coin tracker. Boom, right there, blue coin tracker. So you can see exactly where the blue coins are you need. All that great, great addition there. But the negative is Nintendo in the remake removes some of the most problematic quote-unquote levels. They don't replace them with anything. They just remove these levels, which a lot of people don't like, but it's kind of integral to Sunshine's identity as a whole. So very curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. They also, in my opinion, get a little harder as they go along, like whether or not you wanna take them. So this is a tough one to start out with, though. I'm curious.
Yeah, I definitely take the trade-off. I would be super upset at Nintendo for removing the Pachinko Machine and Lily Pad level because they're some of my favorites just because how diabolical they are. But like a Sunshine remake's a Sunshine remake, and if it's got a blue coin tracker, like count me in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of the belief somehow like we haven't seen even a single Pokemon. I'm about to make the third Pokemon reference this episode, which is really impressive. Anyway, kind of talk about in terms of Pokemon remakes, what's so good about them is that they reimagine, the original and like add to them without taking anything away most of the time, right? And I'm kind of that line of thinking with this. Like I think that the blue coin tracker would be amazing. Like that's kind of my main complaint of the original. But again, like these, like you said, Mac, like these levels are tied to Sunshine. Like they're so iconic. Like yes, they're kind of buggy, yes, they're kind of glitchy, but it's just a part of the whole experience, and it makes Sunshine. So I don't know if I would do this because, again, also as an experienced Sunshine player, at this point, this is how I play the game. If I'm like 100%ing Sunshine, I'm like, okay, so I do not collect any blue coins so that I can go after and I can go and make like a checklist on IGN, because like IGN has like all the blue coins on like the list or whatever. So you can just like check off the blue coins as you go and do it that way. So, I mean, that's just how I do it. But yeah, I don't know. Taking out those levels, it's a big no-no for me.
All right. So a bit of a split opinion here. Yeah, I was curious because like these levels are not well received, but I also do kind of feel like good. They are integral to the. Yeah, 100%. It's like it would be very weird if, especially adding in this hypothetical, they're not adding in anything else besides the blue coin tracker, so it is objectively less content than the original. It's just that content is all remade. So interesting stuff there. Let's move on to the next one. Next game we're going to be talking about a remake for is Super Metroid, the SNES classic that arguably spawned or cemented this entire Metroidvania style of 2D platformers. This will be remade for the Pro here in the style of Metroid Dread. So it'll be remade graphically in that style. Jack, you can go to the next slide.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it'll be a really, really, really so good looking game. But everything has a price. And the price for this one is, unfortunately, it will be a 10-year wait since Metroid Dread released in 2021. So we would not get this game or any other 2D Metroid games until 2031, I believe that would be. Now, granted, they haven't been consistently pumping out 2D Metroid games. Before Samus Returns, we had like a 20-year wait, and then they came back with a remake. So it's not entirely out of the question. But if you are confident that like 2D Metroid will be appearing sooner than this, is it worth it to delay a new game or a different remake to... I don't know. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
I got 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm fine waiting.
All right,
I can do
fair
stuff
enough.
in between.
Fair enough. Because this would be insane. A Super Metroid remake. Like,
yeah, it would be incredible. It would look so gorgeous. I'd be so down to wait 10 years for this.
Yeah, I think this is like what, 30, it would be 37 years, I think, since Super Metroid, because it was like 1990 something. It's some massive gap. My math is kind of wrong. Anyway, I would so do this because we're going to be getting Prime 4 hopefully in 2025. Hopefully. So to kind of have that like kind of new Metroid game in that, yes, that's 3D, but still we can still hold off. But I'm with this. I agree, Mac. I got 10 years. this would be great. Yeah, that'd be so sick. Right. Metroid Dread is a goated game, so like in that style, peak.
Love to hear it. All right, next one we have. This one's kind of for me, but you guys are the ones judging it. A Kid Icarus Uprising full remake remaster on the Nintendo Switch 2. Graphically, this would be unbelievable. They'd bring back obviously all the content, including the online mode, which I think would actually be pretty big. Buttons, controls are all remapped. Mac, what is? Yeah, I see you giggling over there. What is going on?
My cat has been having an aneurysm for the past 10 minutes.
I know. I heard.
I didn't hear.
I have a sign on my door when we record the podcast. It's like, "Hey, don't come in here while I'm recording." And she's just hitting it over and over, meowing, and I can't.
That is too good. We got a cat interruption. That's always welcome, though. No, you're good. You're good. I said,
get a cat feature on the pod. Cat feature.
Yeah, pet interruption I think is always welcome. Yeah, that's a new rule. But yeah, Kid Icarus Uprising remake. The pros of this remake are just inherent to it. It will be no longer on the 3DS. Everyone will be able to experience this masterpiece of a game. But the con is, unfortunately, this would be the last ever Kid Icarus game. Pit would die after this remake. But to be fair, this game came out in what, 2011, 2012? We have not gotten a sniff of a Kid Icarus game since then. So, do you think they would ever eventually give us a sequel? Or do we just take the remake and say, all right, we had fun while we lasted. Give us one last remake and, call it quits on the series.
What are your thoughts, PJ? I want to go second.
Yeah, I don't know. I've played this game sort of recently for the first time, and it is as good as Thomas has talked about it. Like, it definitely does hit that high peak. Man, that's so difficult because I think like a sequel to this game like on the Switch 2 would be so amazing. If they were to do that, who knows? But oh god. I'm going to go with no. I wouldn't want that character to just kind of be gone. Like I wouldn't want the franchise to just completely be gone forever because we've seen like a couple franchises like F-Zero and Star Fox kind of fade away out of relevance and existence. And I know we haven't seen Kid Icarus for a while, but maybe it still exists in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think I'm willing to just sacrifice the entire Kid Icarus series just for an Uprising remake. Yeah. Like, I think it would be awesome to see, but like, I don't. The problem with saying that though is there just hasn't been a game since this.
Are we going to get a game? Dude, my sneaky take is I would do this because I've just lost faith we'll ever get another Kid Icarus game. I don't know if that's just a me thing, but I've completely lost faith. So I would take an Uprising port, but it would be a tough decision to kill the series that I can't even really say I love it. I love this.
You just love the game,
yeah. So. I don't know. I thought this one was interesting. I'm curious.
This is the toughest one.
Any Kid Icarus fans in the comments, let us know down below. Because I'm very, very curious. Like, what would we like take confirmation that there's no other potential sequel or new Kid Icarus game just for one last dance as Pit flying through the sky in full HD with his best, by far
it would be a gorgeous game.
It would. Dude, it looks good even on the 3DS. It's insane. Oh yeah.
Yeah. With an actual, they created a dual stick shooter that on a console that didn't have two sticks and then put it on the touch screen. So
brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, it would be so good. But anyway, we'll move on now to the final of these remakes. So this one is a little bit of a twofer, and this is a very difficult one, in my opinion. Let me preface this by saying we are talking about the two N64 3D Zelda games, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Now, the pro for these is that these would both be, and let me explain because this is a pro, these would both be separate $60 releases, but they fully deserve that price tag. Okay. These are some of the greatest remakes ever made, graphically incredible, new content added, but it still feels in the vein of the old content. New mechanics, whatever, bug fixes, whatever you need, maybe like the perfect remix. Like imagine the best possible remakes you could get. No one is even complaining that they're both released as $60, they'd probably be released a couple of years from each other, but no one's complaining that they're both $60 full standalone releases for 20, 30-year-old games because they're just that good. Like in this hypothetical, they just knock it out of the park. Unfortunately, the con is, since these are now two development time intensive 3D Zelda games on the Switch 2, these are the only 3D Zelda games that release on the Switch 2. But you get two incredible remakes, but they're the only 3D Zeldas on the console. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
So for the Switch 2, obviously.
Yeah, that's the hypothetical.
Assuming, yeah.
And you'd still be able to play Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild with, updated Switch 2 processing power. But, no new 3D Zelda besides these two, which would have, like, new quests and new content in them, but they are, at their core, remakes.
I want to let you go, Mac, but, like, I'm kind of leaning towards not, because they have been remade once before, but I kind of want to hear what you want.
I'm leaning towards yes.
Wow.
I personally think, first of all, I have so much content in Tears of the Kingdom that I'll be playing that game for like years and years.
That's a really good point, yeah.
Secondly, if they remake Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask to look just as beautiful as Tears of the Kingdom, that's worth $60 in and of itself, I believe. Like, if they deserve that $60 price tag, I can't see why not. Like, the only reason why not, obviously, is because there wouldn't be another 3D Zelda game, but I've kind of already got one banked, so, with Tears of the Kingdom. So, I would say yes.
Oh, man. That's a really good point, because, like, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are both so massive. Yeah.
Like, if Tears of the Kingdom didn't release on the Switch and release on the Switch 2, I don't think anybody would have complained about that.
I agree.
So it's kind of like they just did two on the Switch and didn't do any on the Switch 2, but had two incredible remakes. That's where
It's a really good point. And then what if they did this for like the Zelda 40th anniversary too? Mm-hmm. Like what if they...
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Ooh. Yeah, you know what? I'd do it. Even though they've been remade before on the 3DS, I think looking like Tears of the Kingdom, like, and with the Switch 2, like, processing power, like you guys were saying, that would be a banger set of games for sure. Even though that would kind of like tick me off that they're both $60, but obviously they deserve that. So yeah, I'm with it.
Skyward Sword HD released for $60. If these are
That's
as good as we think they are and they're $60, I will take that.
I bought that game and I played 15 minutes of it, so I feel that.
You're the king of that. You're the king of you build out the backlog, but
the issue is I can't return it because I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy it on the eShop. Like, damn.
Yeah.
But I returned the other ones. It's true.
There you go. All right. Well. Oh, Jack says
easiest
Jack
yes on the list.
Yeah. Hey, I believe it. I believe it. I thought this one's like a little bit tough, but I think with this, I think I would do it as well with the high quality of these remakes that I came up with for this hypothetical. I think it is probably worth it. But yeah, no, interesting hypotheticals there. Those were the remakes that I thought kind of could have interesting trade-offs. And anyone, please leave a comment down in the YouTube video, or I guess on Spotify if you're a Spotify audio listener. If it doesn't get cut off by this point and you can actually hear this, let us know.
It's
down
not 45 minutes yet. So
it's not. We'll be good. But yeah, I'm just curious on everyone's thoughts because some of these, like, I don't know, some of the trade-offs, maybe yes, maybe no, I'm not sure. But let's move on from that and talk about everyone's favorite dang alarm clock. We're talking about Alarmo, baby. I got this thing in my hand. I unplugged it. I just want to do a little talk about this because it has now been a month.
It's way wider than I thought it was.
Yeah, it's pretty like decently big.
Chunky.
Here's, I guess,
it's
for
like
comparison, this is my AirPods case. So,
oh wow,
yeah, I don't know, but a little bit of Alarmo review, I will say, from me, because I've been living with this thing for about a month now, waking up every day, to the sounds of Alarmo, and I guess that's where we'll start first. The sounds of Alarmo. I don't think I internalized just how annoying waking up to Nintendo sounds could be, because I was kind of hoping that there would be like a way to specifically maybe link the new music app they have and like choose a specific song, and you can like kind of do that, but the way Alarmo works is there's a motion sensor that actually detects when you're in your bed and the more you move, there's like different sound effects and stuff, and it'll play sound effects from the game. So my personal favorite like a wake up alarm sound was one of the Pikmin ones. It was a banger. Like, you know, it's just a good, like, soothing song to wake up to. But every single morning, I would wake up to this song starting to go, a little Pikmin jingle, and then Pikmin noises. The Pikmin would just go, wee, wee, like start making noises, and it was the most annoying thing ever. So I had to switch the alarm sound, and now it's just on random. So every once in a while, I get, like, a random song. I'm like, what the hell is this? What am I listening to? As I'm, like, waking up still kind of sleepy, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm getting Ring Fit Adventure music blasting into my ear. Ridiculous. It's just very odd that like the alarm sounds are not like sounds you would want from an alarm. Like I chose some days I want, like, you know, I like need to get up, so I'll put on like Stone Talus music, and some days it's like I kind of want a more relaxed wake up. But you can't really have a relaxing wake up with this, because even if you pick the more like kind of zen songs, there's Nintendo sound effects playing over it that are, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. Second thing I want to argue about, or not argue, but kind of rant about for Alarmo is they have a sensor that basically tries to detect when you're in your bed, and that way it knows when to play the alarm. Like if you're not sleeping in your bed, don't play it. But then also, one of the coolest features that I was most excited for about Alarmo was the fact that after you wake up, if you get out of bed, it'll play a little jingle like congrats for getting out of bed. And then if you get back into bed, within the next, I believe, hour, it'll automatically re-trigger your alarm so you can't just fall back asleep. That actually would be super useful for me, because terrible sleep schedule and horrible like relationship to sleep on my end. So I like a lot of times I'll get up, go brush my teeth, lie back down in bed because I'm like so tired, just expecting to like chill for like a couple minutes before I have class, and then wake up and it's, I slept way too long, or fell back asleep. This concept would be pretty cool, but maybe it's my positioning of the Alarmo. I don't know. But sometimes I will get up, sit in this chair that I'm sitting in right now, be editing videos before my class, and then it'll just start randomly going off because it senses my blanket as me. I have not... Oh, Apple. I was in the middle of my rant. It's doing the dang... I got to turn that off before every podcast, the dang reactions. But every time, like... Not every time, but enough of the times to where I had to... Like, I've gotten in the habit of just fully shutting off the alarm after I wake up, which kind of removes the feature that I was like most excited for.
Yep.
But yeah, very, very odd. Like, I don't know if it's my positioning or what, but I don't have like a super high bed table. So my Alarmo is stacked up on 3 books and my Nintendo 3DS case to actually even sense in the first place my bed, which is a complete joke. The amount of times that thing has fallen in the middle of the night is just not good. So geez. I'm going to keep using Alarmo, but I might turn off all the features that actually make it, a smart alarm, and just kind of have it be the most basic possible alarm ever, without like any motion sensing or whatnot, and just kind of have it go off at a certain time, because the motion sensing I was super stoked for, but to me has been a complete utter failure on Alarmo's part. Again, maybe it's the fact that my like bedside table is not big enough, or not big enough, but not tall enough. But also, like, come on, you should not have to, like, I shouldn't have to buy a new bedside table for this alarm to work as intended. Like, I understand it has to sense you, but it should, there should be a bigger sweet spot or something. So anyway, my review for Alarmo is like, in the perfect conditions for the perfect person, it might be worth it. But other than that, complete novelty gimmick item that I would not recommend, if I'm just keeping it a buck. Sorry, Alarmo. I'm going to keep using it because I bought it, but I just have been incredibly underwhelmed. I did not have high expectations, but I was at least hoping for it to do most of the stuff as intended. But like, it'll sense that I'm in the bed when I'm not even there. Like, the one thing is, I guess it's forcing me to make my bed every morning, because if I don't make my bed, it'll stay on the entire day, like sometimes playing sound effects because it thinks I'm in bed. So yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
Weird. Yeah, I mean, when this was first announced, I think we kind of all went, okay, what are they doing? And then it's just it is so strange. I cannot stress how strange this is. Like, we're waiting on Nintendo to announce a new console. They're like, how about a smart alarm clock for $100 US? How about that? How about that, guys? How about that?
I don't know.
It's very strange. I mean, your experiences with it, that's kind of annoying. Like the motion sensor just detecting when you're not even there. That's annoying. Like I if I was in your position, I would just be paranoid. Like waking up every morning, I'd be like, okay, oh my god, what's playing? Oh, it's just Pikmin. Like,
yeah, dude, I cannot describe how weird it is to wake up to like not just like music and noises from Nintendo games, but like the sound effects they choose could not be more annoying. It's like the literal sound effects of the Pikmin talking. Point. I know, but like sometimes it triggers when I'm not there, and like it'll get louder like the more you move, but sometimes it senses me moving when I'm not. It's just it gets me out of bed, I guess. So it's somewhat good, but like sometimes it doesn't.
You're just
work.
not
Sometimes
enjoying the wake up
on its own. I don't like it, if I'm being honest. I thought
That's
I would like it more.
That's a key part to beginning your day.
Yeah. It low key like actually kind of makes me upset to start the day. Although I will say the fact that like once you actually get out of bed, it plays a little jingle, I think is nice, because it's like, all right, yeah, time to lock in. But then I gotta walk all the way around to the other side of my bed. Because one other thing, you can only, once you have the Alarmo, you can only, for it to actually work, you can only get out of bed from the other side of where your Alarmo is placed. So I have to get out of, like, it's just odd. There's like very weird,
really?
like, yeah, there's very weird things that you have to like kind of work around for it. Also, the sleep tracker / like motion sleep quality tracker has never once worked. I've like gone in and looked at the graphs it gets completely wrong almost every time. Also, the one thing I will say is if you have a very consistent schedule or are like really committed to starting a consistent schedule, I could see this being useful. The unfortunate thing is a lot of times I'm staying up way too late and then sleeping in way too late. So then it's like kind of pointless, or, you know, going to bed super early, but waking up super early. Like, it's just, I'm yet to find a reason to not just use my phone as the alarm. I haven't been using my phone as the alarm because I did buy this, but I can't think of a valid reason to upgrade, if that's even what you want to call it. So
yeah, like we're seeing the sleepy sounds on the visual.
Yeah, like that was I listen to podcasts sometimes, or like music when I'm going to sleep. So I actually thought this might be useful for me, but you should just be able to like tap one of the buttons and then start them when you're about to go to bed. Instead, you have to set a time that is your bedtime, and it'll start playing those at that same time every night. I cannot go to bed at the same time every night. I'm not at that stage in my life. Yeah. I'm doing YouTube. I have college assignments. Like I'm not built like that. I can't do that. So it like that feature is worthless to me. The motion sensing feature is worthless to me. The sound effects annoy me more than they like actually work to get me out of bed. It's just, I don't know. It's a bit tough, but maybe we'll come back in a year and my entire sleep schedule will be changed for the better because of Alarmo. I don't know. But after the first month, I can't say I was too pleased with my purchase, even with pretty low expectations. But yeah. Also, you cannot connect it to Wi-Fi unless you have like a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi router, which everyone has like 5 hertz. So I'm never going to be. And that's, yeah. I was like, I posted a community post about Alarmo and on Switched-Up, and Nintendo Land was like, oh, is that the alarm clock that I can't even connect to my Wi-Fi because it needs a 2.4 gigahertz connection? And I just spent 30 minutes manually typing in by rotating a dial my Wi-Fi password like 3 or 4 times because I thought I mistyped it, and it just didn't, I thought that was the issue, and it just never was able to connect. So I'm never going to be able to download those brand new themes. But that does kind of lead us into our fan question for the day, because in the Discord, SKC0, I believe that's right, asked all of us, I guess, what are our top 10 Sicko, maybe that's how you pronounce it, I don't know. But what are our top 10 most wanted game themes for Alarmo? 10 is a bit ambitious, but I'm curious if you just assume you guys owned this, what is a Nintendo theme you would want to wake up to? Because I have a instant one. I have an instant one that comes to mind.
I do as well. Yep.
Considering there's not any in this, it kind of annoys me. I'm assuming, PJ, you might go Pokemon, actually. Mine is instantly Wii Sports.
No.
Okay.
What do you mean?
I was assuming,
I'm kidding.
I was assuming you were going
I'm totally
Pokemon.
kidding.
My instant is Wii Sports. The Wii Sports title theme, getting up to that every day, I feel like I'd be genuinely like excited for my day.
I personally think that would ruin the Wii Sports theme for me. If I had to wake up every single day listening to that, I'd be like, I hate this song.
You can have it shuffle, so sometimes it's baseball, sometimes it's bowling, but I would like Wii Sports.
I think the obvious one is Animal Crossing. Like, If it plays the song, if it's coming.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, they've said Animal Crossing and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe are the two like announced games that will eventually get added through free software.
Yeah, I would lean Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing is a good one.
Yeah, any like doesn't even have to be from the Switch, but like any Pokemon town theme, like you guys know, there's always like some of those chiller tracks in like every game. Definitely, I think that would be a calming one to wake up to. I'm trying to think of what else.
Pokemon. I guess it's in Sun and Moon, but I would say specifically Pokemon Moon. What's the name because it's the nighttime theme of that track. What? I'm blanking on the exact name. It's really, really good though. It's like the most relaxing. It's like Yukiki Village, I think. I don't know. I can't find it.
Akala maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. But there's a banger that has like a little.
I just figured out one. Legends Arceus, the main town or whatever, or the hub world, quote unquote, like the hub town, Jubilife. Oh my god, I can't even remember. Yes,
Iki Tower.
That's where I spent all of my
Legends
Arceus time in just Jubilife Village.
Yeah, that's a chiller track to it. Jubilife Village is good. Iki Town, yeah, I remember that.
Iki Town is a good one, and then the Howley City, the night theme for that is also really good. So
yeah, they don't miss. What else? What else could we say?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we kind of captured like all of the big franchises are there.
I just like the sound effects. Like, imagine waking up to the Legend of Zelda like Guardian, like Guardian's music. Like that would terrify.
That'd be traumatizing. That would be traumatizing.
And then it's got like a little red like laser that like goes directly
oh my god, yeah.
That'd be great.
I would genuinely like that more than the Pikmin though. I hate the Pikmin noises that I wake up to. It's so bad. So I'm done with that. I'm done with Pikmin.
That is brutal.
I'll never fall asleep if I see the Pikmin theme on my Alarmo again. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I guess that's probably it. We all came up with one. We didn't get to 10 Alarmo themes, but
we tried.
Yeah,
we tried.
I mean, there's probably more.
It's Alarmo.
It's Alarmo, man.
Are they
maybe we should have went to.
10?
True. Maybe we should have went to the new Nintendo Music app. And
I do have one question for the Alarmo. Does it feel high quality, or like the button on top and like the spinner? Does it have like a good weight to it? Or is it like pretty plasticky?
So it's pretty plasticky. The alarm itself has a bit of weight to it, but not enough to stop it from like occasionally falling over. Like if I
oh god
gently like brush it, it will tumble off my stack of books and my 3DS thing. The spinner though at the top is the most annoying part of it to me, because it really should have like feedback, like physical feedback. It should go like click 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 click. It's not. You just spin it. No. It's just like I can't actually spin it.
But my god.
It's not.
I don't like
not
that.
Great. So the one thing I will say though is the sound quality is pretty good. There's like 3 cutouts for speakers in the back, and this thing can get pretty loud. So if that's one of your concerns,
we just gotta jailbreak it and turn it into a speaker. That's what we gotta do.
Honestly, yeah. If there is ever an Alarmo homebrew thing, I will genuinely do it. I will genuinely do it to add in more themes or like change.
And then they'll be spying on you with the sensor.
Okay, yeah. Well, that worries me. But anyway, that is all. I was gonna say if you don't see us for next episode, then Alarmo. I've homebrewed my Alarmo, and Nintendo or whoever has come and found me as they do. But you actually will see us for the next episode because we're about to record it shortly after this one. It's all about our personal Game of the Year. It's the end of the year Game of the Year special. We're going to go over the Game Awards and our own personal Game Awards. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be an absolute banger. You can hear our favorite games of the year and all that. But with that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching and listening wherever you no way.
Oh my god.
Sorry, Jack just pulled
god.
up. Apparently Alarmo is already jailbroken. People can do it. It's possible to run custom code on Alarmo via USB without even opening it up. Wow.
Whoa.
All right, I might have to look into
this.
They work
hard.
If I could like mod Alarmo, that would be so sick. But anyway, yeah, thank you all for watching. By the time you see us in a couple episodes, I will have modded my Alarmo to have the Guardian theme wake me up every day, and I might die from a heart attack because of it. See you guys.